Someone call Ed Sheeran because Ipswich are about to have a party. For the first time in 22 years, since 2002, Ipswich are going to be playing in the Premier League. I'm actually quite shocked to be saying them words. I'm not an Ipswich fan. I just love their story. I mean, back-to-back promotions is really something to be proud of, especially with the team that they've got compared to the teams that they're against. I know Watford, Southampton and Norwich have done it before. I think Southampton were the most recent team, but that was 10, 12 years ago. It's not something that we see very often. They went from League One to the Premier League in 2 seasons. The players must be elated, and so must Kieran McKenna. I mean, they've got it done in a style of football that is really enjoyable to watch, and it's a high risk, high reward style of football, but it's certainly entertaining. It's very back and forth, and I mean, as I said, when you compare it to the likes of Leicester, Southampton, and Leeds, who they were up against, they have a far inferior squad. The other three have got so much money that Ipswich have not had the ability to spend, but they've spent well, and they've got players in that have been able to do the job for them, and it's got them over the line. And I think the key driving force behind it all, obviously, is Kieran McKenna. And I just want to spend a few minutes talking about Kieran McKenna. He has done a sensational job since he has taken this Ipswich management job on. He was originally, I think he managed Spurs under-18s and Man United under-18s before then taking a assistant role in Man United under Solskjaer and Rangnick. So he certainly had that experience at top clubs. Has he ever managed a top club before, though? No, which is what makes this even more impressive. He took this job on in 2021 when they were in League One. They ended finishing the season second, I think. He got 7 clean sheets in his first 10 games while they're in League One. They got promoted, and now they've been promoted again. And the style of football tactically reminds me a bit of Pep, but not the same, but reminds me a bit of Pep. And the intensity and the way that he has people playing reminds me of De Zerbi's Brighton. The high intensity, high risk, high reward, either score a load of goals or concede a load of goals. And I really enjoy watching that style of football. When you look at some teams where they just sit up a low block and just win through defending. I mean, I'm a Chelsea fan. I remember Mourinho at Chelsea. It was a very defensive style of football. Yes, we won, but was it the most exciting? Probably not. Whereas when you see like games that are going either 4-0 or 4-3 or something insane like that, I think that's when you see true football and real spirit in a team, and that is what McKenna has instilled in these Ipswich players. And I want to run through a bit of the tactics as to how they've managed to get themselves promoted this season, because they've been through a lot, and with the squad they've got, they've really had to put in that extra 10% to get themselves into a second place. There was a long time where I thought it was going to have to be through the playoffs if they wanted to get promoted, but final day they win, Leeds lose. They're up, and pandemonium at the stadium, obviously. But I want to talk about the tactics a little bit, and I've got the lineup from today's match up here, or yesterday's as you're watching this probably. But so it lines up in a 4-2-3-1. Most of McKenna's teams line up in this 4-2-3-1. What I like about this is he's very flexible in game. If they need to drop into a low block or a mid block, they can. They can become a bit more defensive, drop the fullbacks back, and kind of go into a 4-4-2 more so, especially if the opposition are playing against playing a box midfield. It just allows them to get that extra men in the midfield in the right positions. But for the most part, they play in this 4-2-3-1. Now, granted, this lineup isn't necessarily their best lineup. You've got the likes of, is it Broadhead, not Broadbent. Broadhead up top and Kiefer Moore up top, who can switch in for George Hurst. You can also sometimes we see Burns will come out, Hutchinson play on the left, and Sarmiento can play on the left hand side. But we'll go back for what it was today. Hutchinson was on the left and Burns was on the right, and it worked for them today. Now they build out in a very common formation at the moment, and it's a very risky formation to play out in, especially in the Championship, because you have to have confident ball players, and they push out in a 2-4 block or a 2-4 build, whatever. I don't really know what you want to call it. It's a 2-4. The centre back split, and Hladky, I have no idea how you say his name, the Czech goalkeeper, who has been sensational this season, has to push up a bit higher. So when they build up, as you can see here, we've got this 2, and then you've got this 4 going across. And to to build out in this formation means that you invite press on from the opposition and try and drag them out. It often makes the lines of the opposition further apart, so you can then play in between their lines much easier, play vertically much better. And it just always means that you can retain possession with the extra man. No team's going to press you with 6 players, probably. They're going to conserve a little bit. So there's always that extra man, especially if you factor in the goalkeeper as well. And as I said, Hladky has been really good on the ball this season. I'm probably saying that wrong, and I apologise to Ipswich fans. Please correct me if I'm saying it wrong. Now, what's really interesting about this formation, and like I said, is their games often swing backwards and forwards. It's more like a basketball match than a possession-based team. I think they sit something like 7th in the league for possession. I think they average about 53% possession, and yet they are the league's highest scorers with, is it 92 goals I think they've got this season. They average 15.6 shots a game. So they're definitely an attacking-minded team. They press high. Defensively, they can get caught out. They're not necessarily the best in defence. In fact, I've got it here. They are 22nd for expected goals conceded at 47.5. But in reality, they've actually conceded 57, which I think is 7th in the league for goals conceded, which isn't the best for a team that's been promoted. But as I said, they score, and that obviously, no matter how many goals you concede, provided you score more, you're going to win. And that's obviously basic football, but they always find a way, or most of the time they find a way to get the goals just to outscore their opponents, regardless if they win 4-3 or 2-1. They've got a bit of a leaky defence, and I'm going to get to that a bit more later. They score goals, and the way that they press is really helpful with that as well. And also the way that they build forward. I'm going to look at that a little bit now. So, as I said, they build in this 2-4. The thing about this 2-4 build is that it's almost very slanted in the way that they direct their play. Okay, it's not always Tuanzebe that plays right back, but for today's game, or yesterday when you're watching this, it was him. He's not exactly known for bombing forward up the pitch. He's not a very attacking fullback. I think he was a centre back that's kind of been moved into a right back position. He doesn't push high that much, but on the opposite side of the pitch, Leif Davis, who has been an incredible signing, almost plays as a left winger most of the time. And it just means they end up building in almost a 3-2-5, which is a formation we see so often. So Chaplin, or sometimes it's Hutchinson, and Chaplin will play on the left, or Sarmiento. It really is fluid in how it works. They can play in this kind of formation with Hutchinson coming a bit more central, almost making it a 3-2-3-2. Or, as I said, Hutchinson, Chaplin, or if Chaplin is more central, Burns can pick up the half spaces and get in between the lines. And I really like this because it means that Hutchinson, when he has the ball, and we've seen him do it so often this season, he can cut inside and take long shots. And his long shots are really good. I'm not just saying that. I think he scored 2 from the right-hand side the other day. Almost identical goals. They were sensational goals. Cut in from the right-hand side onto his left foot and curled it into the far corner. And we also form this box midfield. I talk about it all the time. I love a box midfield. I think I say that in every video I make at the moment. It's not necessarily something that's crucial to Ipswich style of play, though. It's not like Man City where it's almost a 3-box-3. That's what you call it. They build in a 3-2-4-1 or a 3-2-3-2. It varies, but I like it. And okay, I'm not saying Tuanzebe can't push forward. Sometimes you'll see if Chaplin is playing central, either if Hutchinson's this side, Luongo can push forward, or Morsey can push forward. Not necessarily their strongest asset, but they can, and Tuanzebe can invert. When the ball's turned over, this is obviously where it then gets a bit dangerous. The ball comes forward. Wolfenden, that should say Wolfenden, I've spelled his name wrong, can jump a little bit higher, and Tuanzebe can also offer a bit of defensive cover. I think that's more so why they leak a few more goals than maybe they would like. But it's a tilted, and this is why I said earlier it's a tilted 3-2-4-1. The one being Hurst up top. And the reason they do this is because of the importance of Leif Davis. That's the player I'm trying to talk about. We got there eventually. He is incredible, and he kind of reminds me of a bit of an Alfie Doughty at Luton. Not necessarily the strongest side, the most expensive side, the most pretty side, but in terms of a young English fullback who's pretty much got it all. I mean, when you look at his stats, he's got 18 assists this season, 20 goal contributions this season from technically a left-back position, but because of his ability to get 18 assists, you have to push him forward. You have to put him in the attacking line, and he pretty much plays as a left winger. He can attack the box, but picking the ball up from this left-hand side and whipping in a cross, he is so good at it. I think he averages the most crosses per game. Yeah, he's second in the league for crosses per game at 2.3. He's also second in the league for key passes per game at 2.9, which shows he's an incredible creator. He's a bit like the opposite side of a Trent. Maybe not in the sense that he can invert and plays in the midfield, but in terms of what he can do and manipulate the ball, for the price that he cost Ipswich, he has been incredible. Leeds must be regretting letting him go. But I really like Davis. Now, whether he gets a move next season, I don't know. I think he'd actually benefit from staying in this team and sticking with them at the start of next season. He's someone that, like I said about Alfie Doughty, he's probably at the right club for him. I don't think he's necessarily capable of playing in a top 6, maybe not even a top half team at the moment, but he's Premier League worthy. Now, the other player I do want to talk about is, as I drop it back a little bit, this man here, Chaplin, Connor Chaplin. He has also been sensational for them this year. I think he's their top scorer. He's got 13 goals. Yeah, he's their top scorer with 13 goals, equal with Broadhead. And Murray Hutchinson's is second with 10. He's also got 21 goal contributions. He's got their top amount of goal contributions. 13 goals, 8 assists. I had to do the maths there. 8 assists. And I've got it here. I know I've got it somewhere. He's 5th in the league for through balls per game. Okay, only 0.3. But he is so good jumping into the striker role when he needs to. He can play striker, but as a number 10, playing behind the striker as an attacking midfielder role, he is incredible. He is so good. Again, I feel like he's at the right kind of club. Maybe a bit like you look at Ross Barkley at Luton. Okay, Chaplin's a bit more attacking, but the way that he helps Ipswich in progressing out from the back, the ability to pick up the ball, he will drop deep fairly often actually, pick the ball up a bit deeper and carry it forward, or if he picks it up from deeper, he certainly can find these passes over the top for the likes of Hutchinson or Burns or Davis, whoever's there to run onto. And I just think he's really crucial to how they play, and I really like him. I'm a bit scared for him in the Premier League. I don't know if it's necessarily his scene. We look at like Adam Armstrong. He was brilliant in the Championship, struggled in the Premier League, and is brilliant since he's gone back down to the Championship. Whether he can do it is going to be interesting. He's got 12 expected goals, so he certainly gets his chances. Most of the time takes his chances. 13 goals from expected 12 isn't bad. And the reason that I've highlighted both these players is because they have made the highest combination of goals in the league this season. Leif Davis, I think, has assisted Chaplin 7 times, which is the most any two players combined in the Championship this season. Primarily from Chaplin pushing high, Leif Davis pushing high, and putting some incredible balls into the box, as I said. The way that they press is very risky, and I think that's something that they're going to have to fix for if they're playing in the Premier League, or for when they play in the Premier League, that is. They push their midfield and attacking line forward, so pretty much will press with something like, we'll press with something a bit like this, or like this. It's great. I love it. I like high pressing football. You look at Liverpool, they like to press the ball high. Provided that you don't give the opposition much space, if you get a turnover, you're in the attacking line, you can turn the turnover into a good attacking opportunity very quickly. And I do like it. I like how they press a lot. The issue is, and as you can see here, look at this gap here. If they want to stop this gap, they have to push either to Nzebi central, or they have to leave a midfielder behind, but then it means that they're a bit underloaded in the attacking press. Or someone like Wolfenden will have to push up, or Burgess, who will have to push up a little bit just to cover the space in the midfield. And I think that's where sometimes they just get it a bit wrong. I think that sometimes they're so aggressive in their press that it leaves some areas on the pitch for the opposition to utilize or to exploit. But as I said, high risk, high reward. It's how they've got so many goals this season. Press this high, they'll push two players to press very quickly. Their intensity is incredible, and this is why I liken them to De Zerbi. The constant running, the constant pressing. You have to be an incredibly fit player. You look at how Leeds played in the Premier League under Bielsa. I think they had the most insane running numbers you will see, and I think Ipswich certainly a task with a high running team. They have to be fit players. Do I think they can do it in the Premier League? That is a completely different question. I think some tactics are going to have to change. This high pressing 4-2-3-1, whilst it's great, not necessarily going to work. You look at Sheffield, Burnley, they were so good in the Championship, but they've struggled this season. I just don't think that they've got the players in the Premier League to play the way that they want to play. And sometimes you just have to drop into a back five, or you have to play a 4-5-1 in a low block just to prevent the opposition from getting chances. Do I think they can score goals? Definitely. I think they could be like Luton this season. They can certainly attack well, but defensively I'm a bit worried. And I think this is where they're going to need some crucial signings. I've done a tactical analysis, a very brief one. I've not done a scouting analysis, but from what I can think of at the top of my head, another striker is probably important. Yes, they've got Kiefer Moore, they've got Hurst, and they've got Broadhead. They're good players. Do I think they're good enough to score loads of goals in the Premier League? Not necessarily. Are they going to get 10 goals? No. And obviously you need a good striker in the Premier League. Amdouni and Datro Fofana of Burnley have been okay. Brereton Diaz and McBurney at Sheffield, obviously they've got a bit of higher level football experience, which these players don't. Maybe Kiefer Moore does, but he's not exactly young and quick and agile. He's a great super sub, maybe at the end of a game when you need a header, but he's certainly not starting worthy of a Premier League side, I don't think. Also, Hutchinson will have finished his loan. I think it will be great if Ipswich can keep him on loan. He's certainly a brilliant player, and I think he suits this team really well. I think they would only be able to get him on loan for another season before, if he does well again, Chelsea are probably going to want to keep him in their squad, but I'd love to see him loaned out to a team like this. Again, just to carry on, he knows the system, he knows the players, and it gets him some Premier League experience. I also think maybe right back's an area that they need to improve on, or at least a hybrid centre-back, right back. I know like Tuanzebe can do it, but someone that can maybe do a bit more of an attacking role, a bit more like what Leif Davis does on the left-hand side. And I think a centre midfielder as well. I think a CDM could be quite crucial. Maybe someone like Sara at Norwich. I think they're the sort of players that Ipswich are going to have to be looking at, or Imbiom at, is it Red Star Belgrade, or... I mean, Callum O'Hare would be a great signing as well from Coventry. I think they're the sort of players that Ipswich are going to have to look at. They're going to have to look at the Belgian League or the Swiss League or the Turkish League, maybe even like the MLS or somewhere like that, to pick up some really cheap young players that can do a job for them. You look at what Brighton are able to do with the players that they find from, like, you look at Caicedo, he came from the Ecuadorian League. Ipswich are going to have to really rely on their recruitment this summer to build a good squad for the Premier League. They're not going to have loads of money. They're going to have to spend smart. They're going to have to spend well. Yes, they're going to get a bit of money from promotion, but it's not going to be enough to probably sustain a load of key signings. They're going to have to make a good squad, and I think that's crucial for them. And I want to say they should get a new goalkeeper as well, but I'm really impressed with, I'm not going to try and say his name again, the Czech goalkeeper. We're going to go with that instead. I've been really impressed with him, so maybe he's worth a chance in the Premier League. I don't know if he'll be good for it, but you never know. Maybe that's another area they have to consider as well. Regardless, I'm really excited for Ipswich fans. Congratulations. Brilliant result. Premier League football coming your way. Certainly deserve it. They've been a joy to watch this season. I know this hasn't been too detailed. As soon as they got promoted this afternoon, I've just sat down and tried to come up with what I can do, because I wanted to get this video up. Because I've got a few more ideas that I want to film, so I want to get on with them. I want to start uploading again. I took a bit of a break, but I hope you guys enjoyed this. Ipswich fans, let me know, who do you need to sign? What do you need to do to stay up in the Premier League next season? I wouldn't be surprised if they do it. My prediction is I think they could be the Luton. I think they could be that side that stay up. But then you look at if it's going to be Leicester or Southampton or Leeds. Probably one of them three. Well, Leicester definitely will. But Southampton or Leeds, joining them, are Ipswich strong enough? I don't know. We're going to have to revisit their signing, see how they do in the summer transfer window. But until then, we'll just have to admire what they've done. And I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Let me know if I've missed anything. I hope you guys have enjoyed. I promise I've got more videos coming soon. And I will see you guys in the near future. Thank you for watching.